Oh, you have the announcements.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's time to call the Charlton Select Board meeting to order. Today is February 24th, 2026. It's 6:30 PM, and we have the Town Hall Meeting Room 1. Just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live by Charlton Cable Access TV on Spectrum TV, Channel 191, and recording available on YouTube, Channel 4 TV, Charlton TV. Any member of the public who wishes to record a meeting must first notify the chair. See anyone? All right. Moving on to open session. We'll stand up, please, and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next item on the agenda is announcements. Pasha?
Reminder from the town clerk. If you haven't paid for your dog license, the late fee will be added on March 3rd, 2026. Nomination papers are viable starting February 2nd and are due back to the town clerk no later than March 13th at 5 p.m. Excise taxes are due March 11 at the library. Tuesday, March 31st at 6 p.m., author Chuck Collins will discuss his latest book, Burned by Billionaires. This program is presented in collaboration with Merrimack Public Library in Brookfield, Charlton Public Library, Pearl Crawford Library in Dudley, Oxford Public Library, Joshua Hyde Library, and Miriam Gilbert Public Library in West Brookfield. Charlton Library will hold a book discussion on Tuesday, March 10th at 6 p.m. for anyone interested in reading and discussing the book before the author will talk. All I got.
All right, thank you. Next item will be the open forum. If anyone's here to speak, now would be the time to come on down. Okay, seeing no one, we'll move down to, we're going to skip over the student rep report. Natalie's not here tonight. The approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting that we had on January 12th, 2026.
I move to approve the minutes of special meeting January 12th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. The next one would be the minutes of our regular meeting held on February 10th, 2026.
I move to approve the minutes of regular meeting held on February 10th.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimous. Moving on down to appointments and resignations. We basically don't have any, so we're going to skip right on down to, actually, we don't have any scheduled appointments. Number 6, action items. Board deliberation and vote, discussion and vote on engaging in the process to change health insurance benefits under MGL's Chapter 32B, Sections 21 to 23. Andrew?
All right, so as the board's aware, current health insurance is purchased through the Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust, who has faced a number of financial challenges over the last year. Last month, we were informed that 6 communities will be leaving the trust effective July 1 to join the state's Group Insurance Commission, with the possibility of additional communities leaving for other insurance providers. We must provide notice to the trust of an intent to leave prior to April 1st. Since July of 2025, we've been evaluating our options once the town was blindsided by a 20% mid-year premium adjustment, and after already increasing 18% on July 1st, which impacted both the municipal budget and our employees. We engaged our insurance advisor, NFP, to issue a request for proposal to the broader insurance market and to explore alternatives to remain with the trust. We received a preliminary renewal estimate from the trust for July 1 indicating anticipated increases of 16 to 20%, which are coupled with plan design changes to align with the GIC's benchmark plans. Now, thankfully, we've gotten some numbers that have brought that down, but we can talk about that in a little bit. Given that the employees experienced a 38 to 40% increase in FY26, we felt it necessary to explore a more sustainable and employee-conscious alternative. NFP has presented the town with a proposal from the Mass Strategic Health Group, which has presented more favorable plan options, though still still with some cost adjustment. We believe that transitioning effective July 1 may be in the best interest of both the town and our employees. And moving would involve changing carriers from Blue Cross to Harbor Pilgrim and other plan design changes that NFP has advised. But this should provide little to no network disruption with the employees with changing carriers. Now, to move forward with this, the board would need to authorize essentially us to move forward under MGL Chapter 32B, Sections 21 through 23, which is the requested vote of the board tonight. I have Ashley and Lynn, who both serve on our insurance advisory committee, to come tonight, along with Tara and Kim Lombardi from NFP, to kind of discuss kind of where we're at and what the options of the board are. So.
All right. Come up, Ashley. Good evening.
Good evening. So, Andrew was saying, so we just got actually the Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust, their IAC, so it's made up of 73 communities, and each one gets one person to vote. We'll meet with them tomorrow. We just got their rate, I guess their anticipated rate vote for tomorrow. If they move forward with plan design changes, it would be a $250 deductible or $500 for family, with like it was almost a 13% increase. It was like 12.8 something or something like that, that we'll vote on tomorrow. So if that goes into effect, even if we were to stay with Hampshire County and not move with Mass Strategic, we would still need to implement this Chapter 32B because we're doing plan design changes. And I can kind of let Ken and Tara from NFP, they've been kind of spearheading all this for us. Like we said, since we got the mid-year increase back in, I guess we were told in July that we were going to have an increase for October. We've kind of instilled in them, like, okay, what do we need to do? And we've been, I guess, moving forward since then on some options, but there's not much out there in the market. So I'll let Ken, if you want to give some more information for us.
Sure, yeah. Thank you for allowing us to speak this evening. My associate Tara Pfaffen is also joining me. So Ashley and Andrew sort of outlined generally where things stand. The options are kind of like easily outlined here, right? It's either staying as is as a covered member of the Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust. That provides the members with an increase in premium cost, about 12.5%, I think, Ashley, maybe 12.5%, and also a plan design change, but does preserve, obviously, staying with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Some members find some comfort in that. The other option, though, is the Mass Strategic Health Group. So the basic differences between the two organizations is that, well, first off, they're both what we refer to as joint purchasing organizations, which is a whole mess of communities banded together for the purchasing of health insurance. And quite honestly, the benefit to the town of Charlton is by being part of this, collaboration, avoids sort of the pitfalls of having significant claims activity that have a negative impact on premium rates because it's spread out across a number of members. The fundamental challenge with Hampshire County is a significant amount of change that has occurred already, as well as the potential for additional groups to probably leave that organization. So it started at 73. We know that 6 organizations have already left to go to the Group Insurance Commission. We know there's a number of communities that are seeking option. A lot of that's because of significant changes in premium rates. July was 18%, October was 20%. Changes in coverages for one weight medication, for instance, and now another pending, 12.5% with a plan design change. So, talking within a 13-month period, almost 45% adjustment in rates. We are concerned for the town that it's difficult to figure out who the business partners for Hampshire County will be on July 1st. Very likely that the remaining 66 or so odd communities will have continued changes with organizations probably seeking other options. So what we can't predict is what happens when more groups leave, and then how does that result in the potential for more adverse risk. Conversely, with Mass Strategic, what we can at least identify is a stronger business partnership because it's already built. There's already communities that are locally, attached to Charlton, and as a result of that, we have a sort of a tighter nucleus of groups that are attached together here geographically, which we think might be a better alternative for the town of Charlton. The options are very simple because of our analysis of the claims data and because of the unique insurance arrangements that Mass Strategic can offer Charlton, which is different than Hampshire County. We actually are in a position where you could suggest to the membership that they could move into Mass Strategic on July 1st, would have to move to Harbor Pilgrim. All the disruptions probably minimal, if any at all, with providers. And the options are hold the current plan, hold the current rates, but change the plan design to include a higher deductible, which had been sort of like discussed by Hampshire County initially anyways. Or we could potentially match the same plan design that we think Hampshire County is moving to for July 1st, with a minimal adjustment in rates, about 2.5%, I think, Tara, is what we kind of felt was the right rate level. And then finally, we could hold plan design completely with a moderate 5% adjustment for fiscal year 27. So we've laid out pretty easily and concisely some options for the organization to kind of evaluate. And so obviously the Insurance Advisory Committee is vetting all of these recommendations. What we like about Mass Strategic is that it's local. The Dudley Charlton Regional School District, Spencer East Brookfield, the town of Webster currently is part of the Mass Strategic, so there's some business partnerships that are local. What we like about Hampshire County is obviously the fact that it's had a good track record, and it would still be, I think, the preferred recommendation if it weren't for the fact that we don't necessarily know what the enrollment or what the participation of the community is going to look like on July 1st. And the reason for that is because Hampshire County permits groups to leave April 1st, Tara noticed?
Yeah.
So 90 days, right? So we don't know exactly who the business partners are going to be, other than probably at about a 5 or 6 week period. Mass Strategic does not have any more opportunities for members to leave. They can join, but the groups that are in that particular trust would have had to have given notice of leaving as of January 1st of 2026. So we know exactly who the business partners are. So there's really some pretty good options here, and Andrew and Ashley are right. So the board, in light of the fact that plan design changes are potentially evident, we recommend that you adopt applying sections 21 through 23, which is the process Andrew outlined that kind of allows the community to move into the plan design changes potentially without traditional collective bargaining. So it's an efficient process. It has a beginning and end sort of like timeline, and it's easier for us to guide through the various union members so that they can understand what's being presented, and they'll know what this thing looks like at the end of the process. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that kind of gives you a better flavor of what the town is considering. Questions?
Any questions from the board? Pete?
So potentially we'll have the same risk come January 1st of next year, not knowing who the business partners are if people decide to opt out. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
So, we're gaining, what, roughly 5 months of security with this?
Well, one of the other things I wanted to point out, and without getting overly complicated, so the trust program that you're in today has the opportunity for groups to come and go, obviously with an April 1st deadline for the following July 1st. The Mass Strategic Health Group requires a January 1st deadline, if you will, as far as are you going to be in a trust or not for the following July 1st? And that's for underwriting purposes, clearly. But in addition to that, without, again, getting overly detailed, one of the side programs that Mass Strategic has developed is within this trust program, we've developed sort of additional groups that are also trust within the trust. Or in other words, as an example, Spencer East Brookfield, Dudley Charlton, and the town of Webster have signed an intermunicipal agreement. So that intermunicipal agreement is almost trumps what the Mass Strategic Health Group program is all about, because while the overall trust wants certain deadlines for commitments of staying or leaving, and that's the same with most JPAs, what Mass Strategic is trying to get other groups to adopt is to develop intermunicipal agreements within the overall trust. That may add a layer of protection. So, or in other words, it may very simply say, hey, if you join this mini JPA within the overall JPA, for instance, there may be other provisions of that agreement that would sort of protect the members within that small JPA. Maybe you have to be in for a 2-year period, or maybe you have to be in for 3 years. Don't know the complete details, but there is a layer of protection. But the point is absolutely correct. There's always the potential within these business partnerships that there could be a fluctuation, if you will, of members coming and going. Now, one of the unique things within Mass Strategic that is not evident with Hampshire County, and something that we have talked about to the other groups who work with the Hampshire County is we don't like the insurance arrangement for smaller communities with Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust. It has one large insurance program, or in other words, it only caps the liability of a particular member once you exceed $400,000 on any one participant. That's way too much exposure for the town of Charlton size, which just has about 120 members in that particular plan. Whereas the benefits of the trust we're talking about has a staggered level of insurance protection. Some of the larger groups have a bigger pool level, maybe 175,000. And for those of you that are trying to follow this, we're trying to provide caps, right? So all these plans are self-insured. What we're trying to do is find caps where we can limit or at least control the exposure from any one particular member. And in addition to that, some of the participants have an aggregate coverage policy too, which limits the overall utilization in any 12-month period. So those unique features are sort of like added to kind of help round out the protection. But the answer to the question, yeah, any one of these trusts over time can have groups coming and going. But we're trying to minimize the exposure by adding these additional lines of insurance coverage. And then, as I mentioned, this other additional intermunicipal agreement, which you would be signing, would also help give you guys a little bit of level of protection.
Thank you for that answer. So, I do understand there's some risk associated with this as well. And I know there's pros and cons, but have we considered GIC enrollment?
So we are always looking at the opportunity for communities to join the Group Insurance Commission when it's appropriate. Now, at this point in time, the actual GIC plans are equal to or slightly higher out-of-pocket cost than what is projected initially by Hampshire County, which was to add a $500 deductible. But more importantly, on average, even with the adjustments that we talked about with Mass Strategic, the premium rates for the most popular plans with the GIC are actually more expensive than what the town of Charlton has to offer. Now, in the future, because what Tara and I typically do with all groups is on an annual basis evaluate, does it make sense to consider the Group Insurance Commission compared to being covered, locally by yourselves? And at some point, if that premium rate that you guys have exceeds sort of the averages with the GIC plans, then yeah, it's something that needs to be considered. But it would not necessarily save the town any money. And in fact, what we can't control, the GIC has 8 healthcare plan options. So the town is not limited to just telling the members you have to pick just the lowest cost plan. The menu of options is presented to the entire population, and then that member decides, am I going to be in the more expensive plan because I feel like it has better coverage? There are limited network plans that don't have coverage for all the providers in Massachusetts. So there are some shortfalls to the program. Yet, as I mentioned, at some point, and hopefully it's not the case, but if our costs rise so significantly, then we would look at the GIC as potentially a landing spot. So it's a good point. It just doesn't fit right now at this point.
Okay.
Just to point out too, in my experience, the GIC would be, as cost aside, be the safest plan, given that it has state backing. Is that still true?
So, well, if you've been watching the governor's budget lately, she's kind of explaining to the constituents, the GIC had about Tara, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about $270 million shortfall this year. So, this is the way it works, right? Her budget says she wants $2.7 billion set aside in fiscal year 27 to fund healthcare under the GIC. Now, that's just the state's portion of the plan. Municipalities that are part of that pay their portion of the premium as well. If the $2.7 billion isn't enough, she will go for a supplemental appropriation to pay the rest of the bills for the rest of the year. But she will claw back that difference somehow. Usually, it's either in a benefit plan design, which she's proposed this year, some limitations on coverages, or she'll ask for a rate increase. But it is, you are correct, it is a guaranteed trust program that won't go defunct, right? Now, of course, we don't like the fact that the state's taking money away from municipalities, but ultimately, it is the most robust healthcare plan in the state.
Any other questions from the board?
I think I hit my quota.
Any big questions?
No, it's good.
Any other comments?
No, this has been our life for the past.
Yeah, if you, just let everyone know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Dylan Langlaze, President, Charlton Fire, Local 4023, through you, Chair, to Ken. Just curious on Harvard Pilgrim versus Blue Cross Blue Shield, what is our comparison for coverage? A lot of questions through our union was, are people going to lose doctors? Are we going to have to try to readjust a lot of things? And there's a lot of people with specialty care. Are they going to have to drop those and find different coverages?
Yeah, so, thank you, Dylan, for that. So, one of the features here, right, so, the interesting thing is the Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust, the plan that the particular members are part of today, is in Blue Cross Blue Shield's HMO program, right? So, that means you're selecting a primary care physician, you're getting referrals for specialists, and you are operating within the Blue Cross Blue Shield network in New England. And so, for the most part, everyone's entrenched in care coverage today. When you transition to Hampshire, to Harvard Pilgrim with Mass Strategic, it doesn't have an isolated HMO network like you're used to. What Harvard Pilgrim does is kind of gives you access to all their entire network. They don't require referrals. They do want you to select a primary care, but you do have sort of open access to any provider within the Harvard Pilgrim network. If we were to identify that within the analysis that potentially one or two providers don't accept Harvard Pilgrim, then what we do with those members is we transition them into the open access plan within Hampshire County, because you get multiple plan options. It's sort of a network style plan, and then an open access plan. So we've done this with the other communities that have joined this program. Someone said, you know what, I'm using a provider, they don't, well, there's some providers today that don't accept any carriers, to be honest with you. But what we do is we give members complete access to any provider without any change in cost share. So it is one of the features that this program does have that is actually more beneficial than the other trust programs in the state. Now, the reason why it has that sort of feature is because it was also built under the self-funded chassis, and Harvard did have more flexibility. And I do know that the consulting organization that Hampshire County hired, which was HILB, did a network match, and I think it was about 98% of all the providers that are being used by Hampshire County within Blue Cross's network are also in Harvard Pilgrim. So for 98 out of 100 providers, there's absolutely no difference. There will always be a challenge with behavioral health. It happens with every transition, and there will always be potential for a therapist who does accept a particular coverage, but that can be overcome with changes to the way the members are added to particular plans. So we're not gonna have an issue from the network. We will obviously make sure that there's a transition of care in place for someone that's undergoing, severe medical treatment, so that members don't have any issues. And then, the odd chance that someone is on a particular medication or formulary under the current CVS Caremark with Hampshire County, we'll run a disruption with Mass Strategics. They use Express Scripts to see if there's any disruption. But again, the plan is self-funded. We typically have not seen any issues from transition. But that's something we'll work on during, if in fact the town moves forward, we'll work on trying to analyze that there aren't any losses of coverage during transition.
David?
I was just gonna say, I think it would be a good idea, any firefighter or anyone in town, if this is potentially going to happen, just check with the doctor's office and just say, hey, listen, do you guys take Harvard Pilgrim? And they'll tell you instantly. And that might give some people some peace of mind.
Through the chair.
Yeah, sure.
We are actually working, Tara and I sent Tara the approval, but we're trying to get a list of all the doctors from Hampshire County right now that we're utilizing. And then they're gonna run a match, and we should know prior to July 1, as long as we get the list from Hampshire. And they're gonna run a match, and they'll be able to tell us what doctors won't take it, and then what they can work around. And if there is, for whatever reason, an absolute not work around, we'll reach out to whatever member it was that takes the doctor, or that was using that doctor. But they'll have a list for us. They're gonna work on that.
Just to we should be able to get all that data through claims data and know if we're gonna have any problem, theoretically.
That's a whole nother
About
ball.
6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
This is a major change, and
Right.
we're affecting people's lives, so I think we should let people know, because it's not 100% absolute, that we're gonna have 100% acceptance rate, 100% prescription coverage rate, so I think we should know who the outliers are before we make commitments.
Yeah, when did we send that, Ashley? Was that like 3 or 4 weeks ago?
Yeah. It's
So it should be
every-
coming in the next 2 weeks.
That's
I
what
would
we're
think.
hoping. Everything is very slow because they were out only 5 people in the office. What are they down to, like 2 now, I think? So everything is like extra slow, even though it was slow before. The problem that they keep going back to, which we don't feel is an excuse, but they keep saying that because we're all 73 communities are one group. So Blue Cross is looking at us as Hampshire County. They're not looking at us as the town of Charlton within Hampshire County. So it's hard for them to pull our claims data out, even though,
They can't do a
It's
party.
not that,
Yes.
it's not that hard, they can do it.
right.
I
So
know they
that's
can
the
do it.
excuse. So how long, it took us, I think originally, Tara, to get back claims data? What was it, almost 3 months? Yeah. It
Yeah.
was ridiculous. So,
David?
Yeah.
This
We
is
just looked, it was, February 4th that the request was sent over, so we are
Yeah.
at the 4-week marker.
right, so.
Just a curiosity, because we don't participate. Will the insured have a choice? Like, regardless if we go here, is it, here's the plan, you can participate or not? Or will they have a choice, here's your plans to pick from, if you want a low deductible plan, high deductible plan? Will they have more than one plan to choose from?
Aside from either just choosing an HMO plan or a PPO plan, you're either gonna get one or the other. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the IAC on Thursday, so we have a member from each union, and then, a representative from the retirees, and then we have a representative from inside and outside town hall, and we'll go to them with what our choices are, and they usually will give us a recommendation, and then we, as management with NFP, will take their recommendation into consideration, because obviously we also have to be cognizant of the town budget, and kind of go from there. So we'll take whatever recommendation our local IAC gives us, and if they vote the same way we're all leaning, then we start this process and we move forward with this Chapter 32B process. I think either way, whatever option we move to, whether it's staying with Hampshire County or moving to Mass Strategic, their plan design changes regardless, so it's kind of,
But it doesn't give the employees of Charlton a choice to say, do I want to pay more out of my own pocket or not?
right.
To pick the plan.
Right. I guess the only other option they really have is if we're instituting a deductible to sign up for a flexible savings account, and then you get a tax break, and that can pay towards your deductible, but for us to offer 2 different plans, it's not really cost beneficial to the town. And I think, I don't know, Hampshire County, and I don't know if Ken feels the same, has always said that by offering two different plans, it takes away from the money. Because if people that don't utilize your insurance are gonna obviously pick the lesser cost plan.
Localized plan, yeah.
Yeah, whereas the people that utilize your insurance are gonna pick the higher cost plan because they use it the most, so you're not really, you're losing money somewhere in the mix, so then your rate increase is gonna go up.
Can you tell I'm not an insurance expert?
Yeah. Listen, the three of us have learned so much in insurance in the past, 9 months? I could probably be an underwriter almost. No, I'm just kidding, but.
Any other questions, Marcia? Did
I
you
was
have
just going to say that I have went through many transitions with insurance, and one of them was exactly Blue Cross Blue Shield to the Harvard Pilgrim. That was the easiest of them all. Almost every doctor, my kids, my family, everybody accepts the same doctors. I have a question. How difficult is this whole transition from one trust to another?
Shouldn't. It
This
should
is
be
difficult
seamless, right,
process?
Ken?
Yeah, we're pretty sure, not to oversimplify it, but we'll have Blue Cross spit out an eligibility file, and it'll have each provider, they'll have each member with their NPI number for physician, and so be able to match them up with Harvard Pilgrim system. So that's usually the easiest part. Open enrollment will have some ads in turn, we'll have to kind of backfill. But it is an opportunity for us to make sure that, we've got correct information. There may be, someone saying, hey, Harvard may send out a note saying, I don't have all of the, dates of birth, the members and family members, things of that nature, but it won't be Tara, make sure I'm correct, it won't be a physical enrollment, right? It'll just be data,
No, we're using electronic files.
electronic file, yeah.
So to what Pete said, so we are safe until January 2027 per se if we do move. With that said, if we have to move back, it could also be an option because we, at that point, will know who the participants are in that second pool until April,
I think if you leave Hampshire County, they're not letting you back in.
or they won't.
I don't think so.
It would
They're-
take a vote of their executive board to
Right.
allow you in.
Yeah.
And there was an upfront payment to get in that essentially will go to offset our run-out claims.
Oh, so
They're-
essentially, we're going from this trust to the MSAG, there's no coming back. The only other way would be to go to GIC, and that's when the people have all those different options.
That's,
to choose
I think,
from.
kind of the
At a cost.
plane
Like
we're
a-
landing on.
Yeah, I think if this, the board should have the notion here is that we're sort of like an inflationary healthcare world, right? So I don't think that's a surprise to everyone. We would suspect with changes in coverages like GLP-1s be excluding, some new pricing coming out on prescription drugs generally. We may see a downturn in, we're gonna see healthcare trends, but maybe not as significant as we've seen in the past. Right now, the market is very limited. It's Blue Cross Blue Shield, it's Harvard Pilgrim, Mass General Brigham Health Partners, potentially Health New England, and that's it, right? Because we have a unique organization as a Chapter 32B municipality providing health insurance. There's not a lot of carriers that are willing to come out and get aggressive. In the future, there may be options. Tara and I have done a lot of RFP work this year, and we haven't seen any quotes. Even from Blue Cross Blue Shield has a trust program themselves called MIA, Massachusetts Local Insurance Association, and they've declined to quote business as well. And I think a lot of that is groups are just trying to get a handle on their participants and on trying to get on top of pricing and trends. You've heard the term affordability. Ultimately, we also will look in the future for the town, for the Group Insurance Commission, like everybody else. But they are also going to be transitioning in the next couple of years because their contract goes out periodically, and we can't necessarily evaluate them properly because they'll change carriers in a 2 or 3 year period, and we won't have any sense of who the carriers are gonna be or what their plans are gonna be. We have less control there with control here. But again, I think one of the things I wanna sort of just, remind this team, we don't wanna be this huge trust anymore. We wanna be isolated in a geographic region with all of the partners using generally the same providers, which gives us some level of predictability and insurance protection. That's really a goal here, to try and avoid some of these significant cost increases. And one of the things we will work to is down the road, once we can get this thing built and sort of like fixed in this geographic area, is then we may work on different models. Maybe everyone has the same rate, because right now you'll have your rate and the other communities will have their rates. But if we can start to blend and look at similar costs, similar plans, we might have the option for members to stay in this particular HMO. They may want to join the PPO plan, maybe they don't live in a service area anymore. And we may be able to introduce the idea of a high deductible. And so as Ashley knows, those aren't things you would recommend when you're a small organization and subject to the peaks and valleys of healthcare costs. So until we get to a certain size and we have a reshaped program, then I think at that point we might be able to create some opportunities. Those are where we can finally get savings to the members and improve benefits, right? So for a change, we might be able to introduce things that all the members can benefit from and kind of manage costs. Because right now we're, I'm being insensitive, but we're kind of saying, this is it, right? This is your plan, and that's all we can do for now. But down the road, we envision having to have some flexibility with your population getting younger, newer employees coming in. I do think a high deductible plan actually down the road will make sense. Doesn't make sense today, where members can start to, take advantage of lower premium and a high deductible health savings account. But it's difficult to do just yet.
Any other questions or comments from anyone? Hearing none. So my understanding is we're looking for, I'll entertain a motion that the town engage in the process to change health insurance benefits under MGL Chapter 32B, Sections 21 to 23.
I second.
The motion.
So moved.
Yeah, so
So moved.
moved to approve,
All right, so motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. It's unanimous. Thank you, everyone, for your comments and questions.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good
All right,
evening.
thank
Thank
Ashley.
you.
Yeah,
everybody.
thanks.
All right. Next, with the policy was, Andrew, you put that on hold?
Yeah, I just asked for a hold. I had a few questions from employees I wanted to follow up on, just not being in the office for the last week, and want to make sure that those were squared away before bringing it back, so I just asked for a hold for this to the next meeting.
All right. We don't have any committee reports, and you provided the town administrator report?
I just wanted to quickly, thank Public Safety and Highway for all their work yesterday, keeping the roads clear. It was definitely the second storm of significant magnitude we've had to deal with over this last year. But I'd say everybody's heard the kudos of how great the Charlton roads were, and they really stayed on top of it during the storm. And thankfully we didn't get the same type of snow that they did down in the southeast of Mass, but we came out pretty well. So thanks to those guys. And Ashley, I want to point out again, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'll let you.
So if you guys wanna take one, pass it down. So I think I came in front of you guys last year to present the new way we're doing our financials now, and I said we'd probably get a fancy award if we were awarded one. Well, look what came in the mail today.
And it is
So I'm
fancy.
gonna actually wear this around my neck so everyone can tell me how awesome I am, how excellent I am, in case anyone was wondering. But yeah, so we got awarded it back in October, but it took them obviously this long to make this nice fancy thing that's actually pretty heavy. So
That's very
we are now a awarded town for the certificate of excellence. So, and I actually submitted our 2025 report just in December. So hopefully we'll get another little medallion over here. So.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you for your hard work.
So I think at some point I have a news release that we'll put out in the paper. I was waiting for this nice fancy thing to come in first. This is the only year we'll get it. So. But,
Nice.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
so that's exciting.
Thank you for that, yeah.
Good news with some bad news. So I bring both.
Great. Thank you.
That's so cool.
That's all I have.
All right, that's all he has. And moving down to select board, do we have any agenda items you can think of now? If not, you can always email me and copy Andrew. Next meeting announcement will be our, March 10th, 2026, 6:30 PM, right here at Meeting Room 1 at the Town Hall. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned, thank you. Ashley, do you want a picture with the board or anything? Or have you-